Welcome to the Cultivating U Podcast with Anthony Duane.
All right, welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen, beautiful people. Thank you for tuning in. This is Cultivating U's very first podcast, and I am your host, Anthony Duane. And I think we're going to go ahead and call this more of a introduction episode. This is going to be basically a breakdown of what the show will ultimately be, what the mission of it is, what it's about, and how I'd like to connect with, my listeners and help them grow on their own path, their own journey of personal development, mental, spiritual, physical, emotional development, all of those aspects. So, yes, welcome to the show. I appreciate your listening, and here we go. So, Cultivating You is basically, it came from an idea I had about creating like a social media page or, a podcast about growing things, cultivating things like, cannabis. I love growing cannabis. I love growing mushrooms. I love growing cactus, sacred cactus. Ultimately I want like a sacred garden, and that's kind of what the show Cultivating You was going to originally be about. And, as I kind of furthered along and got a little bit more into like discipline and routine and, I guess personal development in general, I started creating, more structure in my life. As I got more consistent with it, with journaling and with, all these rituals that I was starting to perform and on a daily basis, they started enriching my life. And I started seeing my own growth, my own cultivation of myself. It started happening rapidly. It happened very rapidly. Starting to have a lot of insight. I was coming to these insights that were pretty profound at times, probably pretty basic, and insights that maybe a lot of people have already gone through, but for me they're huge because I thought I thought I had it made. I knew everything, and then I started realizing I had all these blind spots, and so it was really cool. It's been a journey, it's been a path, and I really want to keep it moving forward. But as I was saying, like, I want to make this, kind of a diary of my journey. And if I can help somebody else through, these things that I'm recognizing and going through, if I could help somebody else with them, that'd be pretty awesome. And I started to notice as I was experimenting with myself, as far as like, diet changes, exercises, meditation. I started doing like cold plunging, ice baths. I started into fasting, and when I started doing all these things, I was kind of posting them on like my Instagram and my Facebook and things like that, and I was noticing that I was getting a lot of feedback. I was getting a lot of people who were kind of excited for me and kind of excited about the idea of doing these things. And especially I remember with the fasting, I had a lot of people hit me up and they were like, wow, I'd really like to do this. This is something that interests me, and I've been thinking about it a lot. And I was like, okay, well, here's a little bit of information, and do with it what you will. So, I think I want to say about 5 or 7 people after seeing that told me that they had went on a fast, and I thought that was really cool. Like I was like, wow, okay, I'm making a little bit of an impact, a positive impact on people. And so I think that's kind of where this Cultivating You idea got really rolling, is that like I can experiment with myself, and then I can share the information that I learned, and it will help other people. And I think that's kind of ultimately where the idea came from, Cultivating You. And, it's kind of a double entendre. It's cultivating you, as in cultivating you yourself, or me, myself, to the person that we want to be, reaching our highest potential. You know what I'm saying? But also cultivating you, as in university. Like, this could be like a place for people to learn, I like to think of it as a school of thought, but I'd also hope that it's a catalyst for people to take action, hearing something or getting some insight from this podcast, or myself, from something I've gone through, or maybe they're recognizing that they're on, they've gone through similar things, and they can learn through this and then put those things into action, into real life. Because isn't that basically what we need to do, right? We need to learn, but then we need to put those things into action, and things don't happen unless we do that. Yeah, learning is great. Books are great. Like, we can all get some really good insight. And sometimes when we get new information from books, they make us think a different way, and that sometimes in turn changes our behavior. But we have to make a pretty solid effort in saying, hey, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do this tomorrow, or I'm going to start this right now. And that's kind of where, the feet hit the road. You know what I'm saying? That's how you get the 10 toes down and just start working and really doing the things that you want to do. And sometimes they're hard. The idea of them is fascinating and fun. And, we can project into the future what it's going to make us be like. But to actually sit down and then start doing the work is where we all need to start getting comfortable with and start doing. So, yeah, that's basically the idea of the name. I hope you like it. It's something I thought was pretty cool. And so why did I start Cultivating U Podcast? And I've already kind of said a little bit about that, but I just want to reach people. I want to. So this is a journey of mine that I'm on, right? And I'm no expert, I'm no guru, I'm no professor, I'm no, like I said, I'm just no expert in this. And I'm on a journey right now of learning and growing. And I kind of just want to put this out there as part of my journey. And I want to grow with y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm doing this with y'all. I'm just like you. I got struggles every day. I got to figure out, how I'm going to be a better father, how I'm going to be a better business partner, how I'm going to be a better son, a husband, all these different things. And sometimes it's overwhelming. And so I'm just here to do this, to learn more for myself and to inspire everybody to learn more and take more action, and use these episodes and these podcasts as a source of inspiration, a source of action, so that they can go off into the world and create a better world for themselves and their family. You know what I'm saying? Because, that old saying is true. You want to change the world, start with the person in the mirror, right? That's very, very true from my experience thus far. We start changing ourselves for the better. We start doing that, and then people see that, they see our change, they see our growth, and they want the same thing for themselves, so it starts to create this little network, this little web of people who are all being inspired from a source. And that web begins to grow, 1, 2, 3 people here and there, and then that expands out from there. So it's true, you want to change the world, change yourself. It's absolutely imperative. And, with the world the way it is right now, and hopefully we'll be getting into this on more future podcasts, but with the world being as it is right now, we need more people than ever to start taking action and really focusing on working on ourselves, our families, and our communities, and just being better, so that we can, kind of wake up and break from these old programs that we got going on, from these programs from our culture and our society. and really make a positive change. And it's crazy because a bunch of people are waking up. Like, I feel like we are in a time and place in this world that there's a huge awakening going on. There is people kind of waking from their slumber, realizing that they have been just not taking care of themselves. They've been kind of programmed to just eat, sleep, fast food, horrible sleep with the TV on, wake up groggy, go to work, grind it out, not enjoy it, come home and take it out on the family, the dog, the kids, whatever, and then do it all over again. And it's just this endless cycle. And it's like, we got to break out of that cycle. We got to start doing better for ourselves. And so that's really essentially what I want to do with this podcast, is just have a positive impact. Let's see, I got some notes here, so I'm going to just check these out real quick. Oh yeah. So like guests, what type of guest do I plan on having on the podcast? And that's going to be the fun part. A lot of times I may just sit here and ramble about stuff, like I'm doing now. But a lot of the times I'm going to try and have guests on, and I want to have guests on that are going to be people who have basically cultivated their lives, around their passions, and they've grown in some way. Like, growth is important to these people. You know what I'm saying? And I also want to have people on who are actually like growing things, and like, I have a couple ideas about some friends that are in the growing community. You know what I'm saying? Like aquaponics communities. I got a friend in, going to the U of A, and he's I forget the department. I think it's like, plant biology or something like that. But, it'd be great to have people on like that who are growing and also growing themselves in their lives, and how those two, I think those are great, like, metaphors for life, just growing things. And, I have a buddy who's a bodybuilder. He grows muscles, you know what I'm saying? And I have a buddy who's in finance, and he grows wealth for people and himself. And you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like this, it's this idea of growth all around in general. So I want to have people on like that, and who are kind of, they have an expertise in that realm, so they can really help us out. We can have a great conversation. I can ask them questions about these things, and they can give you guys insights into, things that you may not necessarily have knowledge about or you're interested in. So definitely guests like that. It's all going to be pertaining to growth. All those pillars I believe I mentioned earlier: the mental, the physical, the spiritual, the emotional. How do we make these things stronger? And I say those as pillars is because those are kind of the things I'm going to be focusing off. There's obviously going to be other subgroups of that, like finances and business and relationships, and these are all going to be other things, but I think those all pertain to the mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional realms. And I kind of got that idea from Hermeticism. And if you haven't heard of Hermeticism, you can look into a book called The Kybalion, which is a great kind of like overall breakdown of Hermeticism and its ideas. And, for me, that book is like a good foundation, right, for belief, because spirituality is something that's actually gotten very important in my life. And it's weird because I've gone from like being a believer in, let's say like Catholicism, what I was raised on, nothing too strict, to being like an ardent atheist. And then kind of now being in this kind of middle ground, not a middle ground, but a more aware place of my beliefs and my vibration and my place in the world that's connected with everybody else. So it's been quite an evolution in that. So I'd love to be able to speak on those types of things. But check out the Kybalion, check out Hermes Trismegistus, and then after looking into that, you'll kind of see where I've kind of got the foundations for Cultivating You and the things that I want to talk about and speak about, right? I want to get into things like archetypes. Archetypes have been huge. They're one of the things that I first got into when I kind of experienced my own personal awakening. And especially for the archetypes of men. I'm definitely going to get into it for women as well. But I think the archetypes for men, it's very important for us to understand what the archetypes are, their light and their shadows, and how we can use them and their symbolism to kind of enrich our lives. And those are like the archetype of the warrior and the king and the wizard and the lover, and those are all archetypes that we embody as people. They're ancient. They're part of our stories from the beginning of time, and so I'm gonna be super excited to get into those. This is all kind of connected to like Jungian theory, Carl Jung, the psychologist, and so I want to get into psychology. I want to get into philosophy, all of these different things, and it's going to be really fun. It's going to be excellent. Also, in dream interpretation, like we can get kind of woo-woo, like we can get into tarot cards. Like there's certain shit I don't really even know much about that stuff. I'm just kind of dabbling in it right now. But that's kind of the fun part of this is we can learn together, right? Like dream interpretation is really crazy, and I love it. And I could probably talk about. I've only been interpreting my dreams for about 2 weeks now, but it's such a personal and kind of intimate experience that you have, and it's very crazy when you can realize that your mind is actually making distinctions between your waking life and the meaning behind everything, and putting those together and giving you a dream that is actually pretty fun to try and interpret. Can be kind of not so fun when the message isn't very positive, but we all need that, right? We all need the light and the dark, right? We all need the good and the bad, and we need this full spectrum of experience. And sometimes we're gonna have failures, and sometimes we're gonna have wins, and hopefully more wins than failures. But that's going to be part of this podcast too. The growing pains, my growing pains. I want to be very transparent with you guys. I want to be open about my experiences, and I want there to be some authenticity in this whole thing. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to just kind of be playing it up for, the mic or the camera or anything, and just be like, everything's all like happy and rainbows and shit like that. It's not. There's a lot of darkness, and sometimes there's a lot of failure. And I mean, ironically today, so I'm doing this challenge, right? It's the 75 hard challenge. And if you're not familiar with it and you're really trying to cultivate some discipline, check out this challenge. It's amazing. It's 75 hard, and it gives you 5 critical tasks that you have to complete every day for 75 days. No wavering. You cannot deviate from the plan. And I was on day 53 yesterday, super stoked. Never been this far on a challenge. Part of it is like no alcohol, no cheat meals. You got to drink a gallon of water every day. You got to work out twice a day. Check it out. You'll like it. But, I was just talking with my wife, and I was like, I'm on day 53. This thing flew by. It went by like crazy. I'm like, I only got 3 weeks left. I'm stoked. Here we go. And I wake up this morning and I realized that I had about 12 ounces of water left in my gallon jug. And I realized I failed. And when you fail, you start over from day one. I mean, it's really your choice. You're not being held accountable by anybody other than yourself. You know what I'm saying? I could have just kept going with the program and be like, nobody knows. But I want to have that self accountability. I want to have integrity, and I want to keep pushing myself all the time. So I said, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to keep going. And luckily I do have accountability partner in this. And he was like, you know what, bro, it's all good. Don't beat yourself up. And I was like, I know. I stayed mad for probably maybe 5-10 minutes, beat myself up a little bit. And then I was like, you know what, fuck it. Let's go. We're going all in. So we started over from day one, and he started with me. So I thought that was really cool. I was like, you're a hell of a guy, good teammate. But that was this morning. I woke up to that. I came out into the living room. My dog shit and pissed all over the ground. And I was like, wow, this is gearing up to be a great fucking day, isn't it? And, like as soon as I started to catch that negativity, I turned that around. I was like, nope, we're going to have a great day. We're going to shoot the first episode of our podcast. We're going to get this going. We're going to overcome, and we're going to talk to the people. We're going to get this shit popping because we want to, and it's going to be a fun day. And you know what? Ever since then, it's already been great. I got another workout in, got my water halfway done before noon, because I'm like, this shit is not happening again. And yeah, so there's always going to be ups and downs. There's going to be, believe me, 53 days. I was 22 days away from completing this thing. And, I could have got down on myself, but I didn't. You don't fail until you give up. So, I want this to be part of it all, and part of cultivating you, as we got this openness, right? Let's see here. My journey probably started about 11 years ago. I'm 36 now. 10 years ago. And it was slow starting, my journey of self-development. It very slow starting. So you know what I'm saying? If you feel like maybe you haven't started yet, or you're trying to start, it takes a while. Like I'm super proud of where I am right now, but it took me this long to get here. Like it really did. It took forever. It's now looking back on it, but as long as you just keep going, even if you stop for a while and get back going, as long as you keep pushing towards it, it's going to evolve. It's going to get better. You're going to grow as time goes on. But yeah, my journey started about 10 years ago, I would say. And I really woke up to a lot of things, and like a lot of the blind spots I had, and realized that I was like not very self-aware, and I thought I was, I think we all have this like this idea about ourselves being great and being unique and being, and I think we all are to a certain extent, but we don't realize that we're not quite there yet. We still have a lot to do. So I would often find myself, blaming people a lot, getting frustrated a lot. My anger's been probably one of the things that I've been trying to work on the most. And it's not so much anger. I don't rage a lot. I can have outbursts. I definitely do. But it's about how the anger triggers that, like the emotion, and then how you want to react and instantly in anger. And then you realize you're not much of a communicator, or you don't know how to handle confrontation, or you just want to go like head first and like a bull and take out this situation, when sometimes it's more just like kind of sitting back and gaining some equanimity, and then moving forward with the decision through a clear head and things like that. So, yeah, it's been a wild ride. I started off doing, in my early 20s, doing wildland firefighting, and I was on a hotshot crew, and that was probably one of the most impactful experiences of my life. I feel like it's probably the catalyst for my journey of self-growth, just because it awakened me to who I actually was, right? And since then, I've gone on to, I think I've done some pretty cool things. I've been in sales. I sold cars. I cleaned carpets, which was kind of an odd job, but really fun and cool. Worked at a marijuana medical dispensary. Things like that, and those things. And I guess I say that just to say that, like, some of us are still having a hard time finding our path, like what we want to do in the future. And for me, it was just kind of like bouncing around to these different things over and over, and finding something that aligned with what I wanted to do, right? And I didn't always get it right. But in me searching for that, me trying new things, me keep going, like for me to keep going and moving forward and trying to look for these things, I feel like I'm slowly but surely finding it, right? Like I knew early on that I just didn't want to pick a career and like sit there for 20 years and retire and do that type of shit. I wanted to become my own person, my own self-made person. And I remember having this idea that I want to do business. I want to go into business for myself, right? And I was like, well, what do I need to do that? Do I just jump headfirst into business? Like, I don't even know where to start. And I was like, well, maybe sales would be good. Maybe I should learn how to do sales and also learn how to be a manager and manage people and do that. And I think those would be two good quality skills that I could learn before I opened a business, so that, everything went a little bit smoother. And that's kind of exactly what happened. I got into sales. I went into carpet cleaning. Carpet cleaning was actually a sales job. You'd go into the houses, clean somebody's carpet, and then kind of do tests on their couches and their rugs, and you'd try to upsell them and, upsell all these products. And that's where I really learned sales. And I would meet with, 4 or 5 different people a day. And, I really got that skill down. And then I even jumped into car sales, and I learned the sales process, I think, even on a deeper level. And then from there went to a dispensary, and then within 6 months I was in management, and then I've, for the next year and a half, I really like got out of my comfort zone. Like all these things put me out of my comfort zone for sure. I was more of a shelled person. I wasn't like, for people who know me, I think they would think I'm like kind of an outgoing, like funny person, but when I'm like in a new situation, I'm kind of shelled up and I slowly like let myself out, whereas these, I had to like break out really fast. I couldn't sit there and wait for the time for me to be comfortable. So, fast forward, like 4, 5, 6 years now from that point, I have a business now. You know what I'm saying? I'm there. And it's kind of weird because all of these things happen through me believing that I could do it, and then kind of putting it out into the universe. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'll go into my journals back from 4 or 5, 6 years ago, and I'll be reading all the things that I was writing. And all of these things have come to fruition in some sense. So, I think that's all part of like this personal development process, is that we, like manifestation is real. It really is. But again, you have to do the work to work towards it. You know what I'm saying? You have to put the action in, and that's the important part. So, it takes a lot, but just give yourself some patience, some time. And even if you're starting late, fuck it. Like, just keep going and keep starting over if you have to. Just don't give up. Just don't give up, Yeah. So, I think I've got the gist of the podcast, what it's going to be. I definitely, if you're listening to this and you know anybody who has a specific skill, a talent, they're an expert in their field, somebody that you think would be awesome for me to interview, please feel free to reach out and let me know, or have them reach out to me. You can reach me at Cultivating U, the letter U podcast at gmail.com. You can message me on my socials. I am going to have a Cultivating U Instagram account that you can follow. You can find me at prolific_pappy at Instagram, Anthony Lopez on Facebook. Anywhere you can reach me at all these places. And, if you have questions, please also feel free to email questions, because I'd love to be able to do episodes where I'm answering questions from the listeners. And all this to say that, like, this is a journey for me too. You're going to experience me at the level I'm at. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to put it out there, and I'm going to be learning as best as I can right along with you. I'd love to be doing more stuff about books. I read every day. I probably read 2 or 3 books a month. So I'd like to go over the lessons that are in those books, and, just insights into things that I learn every day. I might just ramble about those types of things. So, that's it. I thank you for listening, for being here. Appreciate any love, any shares. If you think this is something that might help somebody else, please share the podcast. Let's make this a cool little community where we can all get together and bounce ideas off each other, because that's what it's about. You know what I'm saying? So without further ado, I think I'm going to end this podcast here. I really appreciate you again listening. I hope to see you in the future. This podcast should be out every Monday. That's going to be the goal, every Monday. And I'm hoping to have the first episode, this episode, and then the first interview out within the next couple of weeks. So I think we're on the 24th, October 24th right now. I'm hoping to have first episodes out by the beginning of November. So stay tuned for those. And much love. Keep the growth going. Cultivate you. Keep it growing, baby. All right. Thanks. Peace out.